Hi guys, I'm here today to talk to you about the Skateboard Graphics Competition of 2020, which is of course sponsored by the Chattanooga Skate Park Project. So this is a flyer for the competition. You can see in addition to the Chattanooga Skate Park Project, this particular skateboard design competition is sponsored by Comfort Skate Shop, also by Relief Skate Supply, and also by Vans. They also do work with Outdoor Chattanooga as well, and Open Spaces of Chattanooga. So they have a lot of collaborators for this project. Art Creations, you can see, is also someone they work with for this project. They do offer, they're asking for designs for skateboard decks, so skateboard graphics, and they do offer prizes for first, second, and third place, including art prizes. So some really cool opportunities to win some supplies for making artwork and for skateboarding. So this is the 8th year that they've done this. And this year, due to COVID, they've decided to host their competition online only. So what you'd need to do to enter would be to make your artwork on a big piece of poster board. It would need to measure 8 inches by 30 inches, thereabouts. So that's what they're looking for in terms of size. Everything that you enter would have to be hand-drawn or painted. They do not accept digital work at all. When you submit this work, just like the Zoom, was online in terms of the competition this year, this work will be online for the competition. So it's really important that you take a quality picture of your work, your finished work, in good lighting. So you should be taking it outside and bringing it into the shade on a sunny day, taking a high quality picture, making sure you're cropping out all the background, making sure that you're, not at an angle when you're taking your photograph. All those things will help your entry. When you are done with your entry, there is a place to email your submissions here at Chattanooga Skate Park Project at gmail.com. They're asking you when you email your submission in to include your name, your grade, your school, and your art teacher. What I would do is I would write that out in the body of the email, and I would go ahead and attach your image to the email when you send it. So you can see this competition is open to middle and high schools and also homeschool students. And we have a deadline of December the 31st, so the end of the year. We're actually going to do it, before this time, before this deadline. We're going to go ahead and submit our work, but that's the absolute deadline to submit your work. So I wanted to start by showing you some of the winning entries from over the years. This is from 2014. See some really beautiful work here. One of the things that I'm really struck by is particularly in the left 2 images, the bold use of color. And gosh, the one in the middle, Michaela Jones's piece, that sense of movement that she has created, almost like a S-shaped movement as you kind of move up the koi fish and the sword and then around the head of the geisha. I see in Emily's piece over here just a really strong sense of pattern, interesting use of negative space combined with that pattern. Let's see, so these were from the next year. So we've got Jasmine Galvin over here. She made this piece entirely using alcohol markers. See, the next one over, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, actually the next two over look to be acrylic paint. Beautiful designs. Let's see. Here is another pair, another set of winning entries for second, third place. Not a pair at all, a trio of winning entries. Gosh, look at those skeletons. Such an interesting use of color here. Dylan Vaca's piece from Ottawa is very, very strong. You can see that Dylan, now this might be a method that works for you guys, and I will have a template for you if you'd like to make this choice. It looks as though Dylan actually just put together 3 pieces of paper, printed out the template, put together 3 pieces of paper. That would work just fine. You can print out your template and actually cut out poster board for yourself. I will say, being a poster board connoisseur myself, this is a pretty large piece of poster board. So, you know, check out your poster board from every angle. You might do well to go diagonal on it. I just noticed with Dylan Vaca's pieces, this is a cicada. I've been seeing these little cases from these cicadas all around throughout the summer. They kind of go underground and they come up, and of course they sprout out of this old husk. And that loud kind of chirping that you hear all summer long is those cicadas. So well done, Dylan. Very nice. Let's see. Ashley Gross made a really cool zipper design here. Let's see. These are from 2018. So we've got a student from Sale Creek, Ethan Abernathy. Look at that. Bold use of detail here on this like sort of scary angelic type figure with all the eyes on the wings. Wow. I would say that this piece like is meant to be looked at from the side, like it's a like a horizontal piece. Many of the skateboard decks you see, like these other two, are meant to be viewed like more portrait style, a vertical piece rather than horizontal. I like Jada Jackson's piece a lot. It definitely puts me in mind of like Daniel Klaus or other comic book artists. I think that the use of blue here is really surprising and makes the piece kind of have a retro feeling. I'm not sure if this is markers or acrylic paint. I feel like maybe I'm looking at paint or maybe even a combination. I think also Ethan Abernathy's piece looks to be maybe the wings and the blending throughout here. Maybe that is like a marker, and then the background potentially is acrylic paint. It's a really cool combination of materials we got here. Wow, I also love Kelly Hickman's piece. Look at this. Wow, again, that interesting use of negative space, like this tiny landscape with this like sort of deer head floating over like some sort of god of the desert. Just really beautiful shading work within that deer. Nicely done. It looks like both of these pieces, Jada's and Kelly's, are pieced together from multiple pieces of paper. So 3 pieces of paper, just copy paper, trimmed out to make the template. So that works just fine. If you don't have access to copy paper, if you don't have access to poster board, that's that big, because it is a large piece of poster board. You are more than welcome to do it this way too. This is last year's. So we've got a really cool abstract design from Ashley Cowbaugh. Second place in 5th grade from CSAS is Emery Hicks. Let's see. Ooh, wow, this is a really interesting piece. It's like just kind of split down the middle. It makes me think maybe I'm looking at her animal spirit or something like that. Speaking of spirits, Layla Fincher from Signal Mountain High did this really cool fortune teller kind of lady with the black, what is this, crystal ball in front of her, and that sort of all-seeing eye floating over her head. Has kind of voodoo vibes. I like it. So just to give you an idea of what exhibitions typically look like of these works when they're in person, this was from a show downstairs at Comfort Skate Shop. So you can see all the work that gets entered hangs in the show, every piece. Last year was a little different because the show was at Outdoor Chattanooga, so the hanging went a little differently. Last year there were some movable walls. But like I said, all the pieces go in. You can see pieces from every school. Every piece that is entered will hang up and be displayed. So it's just a really good opportunity to get your artwork out there. So you guys are going to be coming up with your own design for your skateboard. I just wanted to talk about some inspirations that you might, draw from. One thing, that you often see in skateboard art is graffiti or street art. So these are real skateboards. I think I've got real skateboards in here a couple times because I think that they're pretty cool. I must be drawn to these types of skateboards. They have a really graphic design. They have a really graphic quality to their design, and it's very much influenced by graffiti and street art. These are some actual spray painted pieces too, so even more influenced, I guess, by street art technique. Often on skateboard decks, you'll see really cool characters. Sometimes the characters are fictional. Sometimes the characters are, real life people. There are just a variety of characters you're going to see on these boards. I think, skateboards, like, people who skate are often into, I guess, like bold illustration. It just becomes part of the culture, like the visual culture of the skateboard decks, just the idea of like having stickers and like really celebrating different designers in terms of clothes and accessories for skateboarding. I feel like a lot of these like sort of illustrators have come into their own, like doing this sort of artwork and have this connection with the skateboard community. So you do see characters, signature characters from artists. Here's a couple more characters. These are polemic boards, and they did a whole series of gods and goddesses. I thought that these were pretty neat. Some of these you might recognize Poseidon if you've ever studied Greek mythology. I see a Japanese Oni and Katrina, who's, of course, a famous figure in Day of the Dead artwork. You often see Katrina. Popular illustration can be, a trend for skateboard designs. I would say that these are more inspired, these particular decks here that we see are more inspired by popular illustration than, say, like graffiti. Different color palettes really at play here. I noticed the color palettes are a lot more soft. I see a lot more floral kind of inspiration going on in these pieces. Definitely popular illustration plays into it. Comics can be a huge popular topic with the skateboard design crew. These are the real boards, real skateboards. I really like these a lot, apparently. I think that this design is pretty clever because, as you can see, they have kind of cut up different characters and pieced them back together. So anyway, Sometimes you see artists who are interested in, bringing to light social or environmental concerns. While these are really fantastical images, I did read the artist who created these works said that it was important to them to make people think about the relationships between humans and animals and how important it was to conserve, to practice conservation so that animals and humans alike had a place to live. Tattoo art. So tattoo art can be a huge inspiration when it comes to skateboard decks. All of these have some sort of tattoo inspired artwork. Some other things that you might not see as frequently, but you still do see, art of the world might inspire skateboard decks. These particular decks are inspired by oceanic totems, and with the weird long narrow kind of format of the skateboard and the long tall format of a totem pole, you can kind of see how one form would lend itself to the other. Occasionally you'll see skateboard decks that are inspired by famous artists. These particular pieces are all inspired by Andy Warhol. Designs can be funny. Really, I mean, they can be just sort of lighthearted and whimsical. Like I really love the guy with this beard here, that twisted sort of neon colored beard. They can be intricate. All of these designs are from Polemic again, are very, very intricate, symmetrical pieces on all these decks. Just a bunch of really interlocking forms that, the more you look at these designs, the more you see. They can also be simple and minimal. These are all sort of, I feel like all three of these designs have a very childlike feeling, almost something that would be like a children's storybook. Skateboard decks can absolutely be abstract too. They can be retro. I think these are all pretty funky. I like these. If I rode a skateboard, I might like one like this. These are all using old school technology. They might be really, really goofy. I find all these kind of hilarious little attempts to fit faces and bodies in the skateboard. So the skateboarding, I think, often doesn't take itself too seriously, which is fun for design. So the subject of your skateboard can be anything you choose as long as it's appropriate for school. In terms of materials, you can use any wet or dry materials we've used so far. Originality is very important. You certainly want to look at other artwork while you're planning what you'd like to do for this project, but don't copy another person's design. You want to bring something original to this project. Skateboard designs are usually bold, and they display strong value contrast, vibrant color, exciting shapes, textures, and movement. I mean, if you think about it, skateboards are, made for people who want to move fast, it's no wonder that bold designs and vibrant color and exciting shapes and textures and movement would be appealing for this sort of person. So consider who you are designing for. So this is how your work will be graded. 25% of the grade will come from craft. That is, your work displays excellent craft in the medium of your choice. Also, with regard to photographs, you've taken a excellent, unblurry, well-lit photograph of your work that is cropped. Creativity. How have you come up with a visually compelling and original design that you can write about? Again, no copyright infringement here. Completion. That you have activated the entire composition and the work feels complete and intentional. Your work must be in on time to get full credit for completion. Last but not least, we have comprehension. So you were thoughtful in your choice of subject for the design, and you can explain your choices in writing. You also considered the unique format of the skateboard. So it's this long, skinny thing. How are you going to work with it? So I think this is maybe the first time where you've really had to keep in mind that, you know, the shape of your skateboard is really important. So really think about it as you work on your designs. The next step is going to be to do some thumbnails and sketches, and then from there we will move on into our final drafts. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with.